Hi banjo lovers! Today we are going to talk about single string major scales. When I say single string, what I mean is that this is going to be a scale that happens on one string up and down the neck. I'm using the major scale to demonstrate this exercise. I have a PDF of every single scale on each string in tablature format as well as notation format, just so you can follow along. This will work on absolutely any stringed instrument. So this is a great kind of scale to learn if you're going to be thinking about doing multi-instrumentalist things. It works on guitars, it works on mandolins, it works on upright basses, it works everywhere. So one of the things that makes this work across every instrument is the construction of a major scale. You may have heard of something called a whole step and a half step. Maybe you've been a little confused. Let's talk about what that means on the banjo. For us on the banjo, a half step is when you play one note and then you go up to the next fret. That is a half step. That is also equal to one key on the piano. So if you just go from one key and touch the next one, that's a half step. The next thing is a whole step. A whole step on the banjo is when you go from one fret, skip a fret, and go to the next one. This is going to be what we call a whole step. This is equal to 2 keys on the piano. So why are whole steps and half steps important? They're important because in every scale there are certain formations of whole steps and half steps that give you the sound of the scale. For example, what makes a major scale is the way that the whole steps and the half steps are arranged. Now, you may have heard of microtonal music. This is different. We're just going to go with our standard equal temperament tuning. So what happens with the major scale is you get a whole step, half step. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay, what does that mean? Let's put it into real life. Okay, so first I'm going to demonstrate this on my open D string. You can use any tuning on the banjo. I just happen to be an open G. But any tuning is going to work. Okay, here we go. First one is a whole step. So I go from the open D string. Imagine like you have a finger here. That kind of helps me sometimes because the open strings can be a little confusing. So I'm kind of putting my finger like right behind the nut just for demonstration purposes. First one's a whole step, so I'll go D. I go up a whole step. Nice. Next one is up a whole step. Here comes that half step. Here comes the whole step. Another whole step. Another whole step. And last but not least, a half step. I'm going to put it all together. Whole step. Whole step. Half step. Whole step. Whole step, whole step, half step. That is the major scale. That is how it is constructed across any instrument. It's never going to change. So once you learn your major scale, you've got it down. So on the single string, this works across every string. So let's check it out. It's my whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Same pattern. It's our major scale pattern. Let's go ahead and try it on the G string. Here comes the D string. Not too bad. You'll notice a couple of things whenever I do these exercises. I'm going to go into more detail about these as time goes on. I'm kind of shifting my hand as I go. This is something that as banjo players we really need to think about. The shifting is going to help accommodate faster passages and make your hand feel better. So please go back and watch my video on the left hand to talk about how you can work on relaxation in your hand. And just remember, if anything hurts, from your shoulder to your elbow to your arm to your back to your hand, anything, take a break. This is very important. I don't want you to injure yourselves. One of the things that is going to lead towards long-term banjo playing is comfort within your body. I mean, you want to always keep examining that. So you'll notice something. As I went up the neck, I didn't keep an elbow out. You didn't see me do this. We're not looking for that. I'm thinking about each time that I go for a note, keeping my hand nice and relaxed. We talk about positions, and I mentioned that in a different video, but don't feel like you have to be locked into a certain position. They're fluid. So kind of watch my hand as I go. I'm just gently moving each time. Keep on moving, trying to make each finger comfortable. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to go back down. So here I am at the 12th fret. I'm starting with my pinky. And you'll notice when I shifted back, I got that hand comfortable. Now, this is going to change for each string that you go to. As we go across the neck of the banjo, our bodies are going to change. So be aware of that as we go. So let's try the next one. Same thing, I just want you to go through it with me and just feel how your hand changes. You notice something? Whenever I go back sometimes for this position, I do something that we call the long one. I'm basically on the side of my finger. I'm just gonna make a little indent here so you can kind of see it. I'm on the side of my finger here. That allows me to kind of reach back a little bit to kind of get to that position. So what you want to kind of avoid is like this hook feeling that you're getting with your finger. You want your hand to feel nice and loose. Again, different situations call for different hand positions. We want to keep working on what is optimal for the moment and for your hands. So I'm also going to pause here for a second. You'll notice a couple things that I'm really being careful about doing. I'm trying to be close to the fret, not on top. If you're on top, you get this thuddy sound. If you're right behind, you get this nice clean sound. You'll notice also that I have broken these scales up into two positions. I'm going to talk about that while I do work on this in the G string here. So what I've done is I've done open string, first finger, third finger, which is my ring finger, pinky, which is my fourth finger. Here I'm going to eyeball the 7th fret, and I'm going to slide there with my index finger. Index finger on the 7th fret. 9th is my middle finger. 11th is my ring finger. 12 is my pinky. I'm going to go back down, the same formation. 4th finger, 3rd finger, 2nd finger, index finger number 1. I'm now going to slide back to the 5th fret. I'm going to think about setting up my pinky. I'm eyeballing it. Here's my pinky, 4th finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger, open. Now, there are other ways to kind of do this scale. Let's talk about that as we go through the D string. So I've set this up so that I only have to shift twice. There is another way. You can use this position where you go open, index finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, pinky, shift, index finger, middle finger and 3rd string, index finger, 2nd finger. This is a kind of like a 3-position shift. I'm going to show you it again. It's not wrong, it just depends on the passage. Do whatever feels best for you. I like to kind of enjoy having the 2 position. It does create a stretch when you're kind of up here. To really think about moving in between these 2 fingers, that might feel uncomfortable for some people. Let's discuss another way to do this. You could go, I'm going to go back to the open D string, open 1st string, 2nd fret with the 1st finger, 4th fret with the 3rd finger, index finger on the 5th fret, 3rd finger on the 7th fret, index finger on the 9th fret, ring finger on the 11th fret, 12th with my 4th finger. Did you kind of see what I did there? Let's try it again. Yet another way to do it. Again, it all kind of depends on what's going to feel good for your hand. I'm going to beg that you stay away from doing one single finger. You see what I mean? One is that it kind of like disorients where you are on the fingerboard, it keeps you out of a position. Now, in clawhammer tradition, sometimes it makes sense to slide the index finger. You can kind of justify how to do these major scales in a lot of ways. Again, I'm just showing you what has worked best for me. So what has worked best for me is, again, I kind of like the two position. What it means is in that second position, you're going to have to stretch. I'm going to demonstrate it one more time. Open, first finger, third finger, fourth finger, first finger, little bit of a stretch for that second finger, little bit of a stretch for that third finger, back to pinky. Little stretch. It's my personal favorite. So let's talk about ways to kind of have fun with these scales in a different way. Not that scales aren't fun. I love scales. I think of scales as a very like meditative practice. So I just enjoy doing them. But if you're ready to kind of like spice up your scale life, let's talk about some things you can do. So you can always roll them. The only strange thing is that whenever you have like whatever string you're going to go up and down the scale on, that's going to be that major scale. So for example, if I decide to go up and down the D string with a roll, it's going to be, the scale will be the D major scale. Kind of putting that against some of the open strings may sound a little weird. Just experiment, have fun, see what sounds good to you. One of the things I like to do is I'm going to do this with the open third and second string. So I'm going to put my thumb on the third string, my index finger on the second string, my middle finger on the first string. And I'm going to go through my scale. Here we go. Just kind of fun. We can also try it where maybe we do it on the open G string. Let's try the scale on the G string. So just experiment and have fun. Again, just going through your scales and kind of playing with them. If you want to, you can always name the names, which might kind of help you learn the strings a little bit better. For example, as I go through, let's just try G. I think this is a fun one to kind of start with. I'll go G, whole step up to A, whole step up to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp. Now I'm at G. I'll just kind of help you unlock the fingerboard. I'll try it again. I'm going to go down. So G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. Nice. This will help you start to unlock the fingerboard as we go up. I hope this has been useful. I hope you found a way to kind of use the single string scales. We are going to elaborate on these scales a little bit more in other videos. But for right now, just work on those single string scales and have a great time. This is also a great way to improvise. What you can do is ask a guitar friend or maybe ask, find a backing track on YouTube that is the key that you're soloing in. For example, if I'm going to be using my string, or the open D string, I'm using my D scale, D major, you can look up D major backing track, and that'll give you a chance just to like improvise on one string. So we'll talk about this in another video. Again, I won't talk about improvising like in another time, but hope you've enjoyed this video and good luck on your single string scales. Happy picking!